Welcome to the Big Fat Real Estate Checks podcast with Marco Kozlowski, where we help investors like you get the knowledge and skills you need to replace your JOB with passive cash flow for life.
Hey everyone, welcome to Big Fat Real Estate Checks. My name is Marco Kozlowski. I'm here with Gabriele Raish and Francesco Galuccio. We're going to be discussing some really fun things based on what we discussed in the last episode. The opportunity that lies in a shift in the economic cycle. And most people think it's terrible. The sky is falling, the sky is falling. But if you understand and have the knowledge and to action, you're going to make more money in the next little while than most people do in a lifetime. Very exciting times. So if you have missed our last podcast or episodes, stop what you're doing right now. Go the first 10 episodes. Listen to how we don't need money to make money. In fact, this episode is going to prove that. No money. You don't need your own money to make money. We use asset-based lending and a lot of different creative strategies, which we're going to start diving into today. And of course, like us, love us, share us, subscribe, and just digest this information, which we give you because we really want to serve as many humans as possible before our ticket is called. We want to just serve, give to give. And if you have enjoyed this episode or past episodes, like us, please love us, share us. I've said this already. I'll say it again. We really expand our listener base and get more high fives from Apple, which we always like. So on the last episode, we discussed interest rate hikes, meaning slows down the available buyer pool. Fewer buyers means prices start sliding in a negative way, specifically after a large rally, which we had in the last cycle. People bought a property and they were getting 10, 20, 30% more equity as time went on. And now that is starting to be chipped away as interest rates hike. And that's actually a great opportunity because there's existing mortgages that are in place, which we discussed in the last episode, where in the 80s, the interest rate was 18% plus, and people had existing mortgages at 8%. And it was, if you have the understanding and the ability to take over the debt and just swap equity, you're then saving a shit ton of money on your interest payments and saving money overall. And that is a lost art. And we're going to be peeking into that window on this, not giving you all the goodies. It would actually not serve us to give you every single thing step by step, only because if you miss one step, you can actually really hurt someone else and worse yourself, or the other way around. You can hurt yourself, worse someone else. If you want to hurt yourself, that's up to you. And the only way to really do this responsibly as educators is for us to really monitor you and make sure you're doing things correctly. Because if you say the wrong thing to the wrong person and do the wrong thing at the wrong time, you're actually going to really hurt somebody, and that's not what we're about. We really want to serve people and help them and do things. We use our powers for good. We don't use our powers for to really hurt people. So this will wet your whistle a little bit, dip your toe in the pond, and whatever expressions I can use. Put your chiclet in your mouth, whatever you want to say. Inside joke from the last one. So we'll go from there. So let's talk about mortgages real quick first, and how I think everyone thinks they know what a mortgage is, and I know you know what a mortgage is, but there's some really exciting details about a mortgage that I think we should cover before we really go to the next base. So who wants to give a crack at that?
I can give a crack at it. Crack away.
Well,
mortgage. Yeah.
Here's some chiclets.
Crack it open.
Mortgages are basically they're loans, right? And they're usually handed out with financial institutions, and they have specific terms to them. Now, depending where you're living, if you're in Canada or the U.S. or the UK, mortgages have different lifespans as they do. So I know in Canada, when you go to a mortgage, to one of our 4 banks that we have up here, 4 charter banks, 5, forgive me, yeah. 5. There's no monopoly here, no, not at all. But out of the 5, and you get, a mortgage, just say for $1 million, you're purchasing a property, and they give you a 20. We got 25, and I think we got 30 year amortization. And what that means is they're going to take that $1 million and they're going to spread it over that 30-year period with interest and penalty, right? Interest and principal. So it's amortized over that period. So your interest, your monthly payments will be less. So the less amortization, the more your monthly payment's going to be. So if you had a 20-year amortization, your payment's going to be a little bit more. If you had a 25, it's going to be a little bit less. A 30, a little bit less. Now, the only drawback with Canada is, Marco, you had something to chip in over here.
I just want to make sure people know what amortization is, and I don't know if
it's
Gabe, you're right.
Amortization is just you're basically leveraging the money you're lending over a certain period of time.
Yeah. Frank doesn't breathe.
What did you got to say?
I love it. No, I just wanted to make sure that we know what amortization is because.
Forget me. I thought I did.
Most people.
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah, over a period of time. So
well,
you're leveraging.
So it's
but the calculation of the amortization is not what people most people think. Is it? It's not even during the whole length of the mortgage.
Not yet.
It's top heavy.
I was getting to the different.
He's still.
I'm still on the foreplay part.
Oh,
yes,
okay.
thanks.
I'm just.
Well, feel free to interrupt me while I'm talking.
I think he just did.
I know he just did. All right. Well, we're missing Marco, but it's okay. He knows all this shit. So, anyways, okay. So, forgive me if I didn't clearly explain it. So, amortization is basically you're leveraging that loan amount, that $1 million loan amount over 20 years, 25 or 30. And as I was saying, the longer the amortization, the lower your monthly payments are going to be. Now, inside your monthly payments, there's two components to it. There's interest and principal. All right. So when you first get into a mortgage, and Marco, we're going to get into this, they work in trimesters. So there's 3 trimesters. So in the first trimester, if you ever had a mortgage, you're going to notice that most of your monthly payment is going towards interest. That's just the way it's designed. So the banks make money. And then as you...
but why is it designed this
so the
way?
Banks can make more money.
Yeah, but hold on. There's
Gabe. Let Gabe talk for 2 minutes. Give him 2 minutes, and then you can have the rest of the time, Frank.
Well, it's designed this way. Well, if you listen to the last episode, Marco said something interesting. He said that most people sell their houses within 5 to 7 years. And again, in Canada, because you have to renew your mortgage every 5 to 7 years, what do you think happens if you just keep on paying the interest up front and then you want to renew your mortgage? So either you sell the house and then somebody else has to pick up and pick up that house, and the money that the interest that was paid up front, the bank made that, and then they're going to make again all the interest up front because they know that most people will sell their houses within 5 to 7 years. So essentially they're collecting almost compounded interest on the sale and the resale of this house and the mortgage of this house. The second thing is that if you renew your mortgage, but you can also refinance your mortgage, then you're extending your amortization, and all of a sudden your interest is starting over again. So this is, yes. So as you said it, Frank, it's well designed by the banks to just keep their hands in both your pockets. And if you have a third pocket, they're going to find a third hand to put it in there.
Manager, they're like banksters. That's what they are. But
they are banksters.
They are banksters. That's what they call them. Yeah.
And there's basically 3 trimesters. The first trimester is all interest. The second is 50-50, and the third is mostly principal. So understanding that is extremely vital to the series that we're
but
putting
the Canadian banks got their shit together
back
though,
to you.
with the design. They improved it with the enhancement that even though you get a 20 or 25 year or 30 year amortization, they're gonna say, well, we'll give you that so your monthly payments are low, but you're gonna have to come back after 3 or 5 years. I think the most is 5. And what happens is you got to come back and renew that mortgage in 3 to 5 years. And like I said, up in Canada, there's only a handful of financial institutions that's gonna entertain that. There's other credit unions, whatever that you can go to. But again, the cycle starts again. So it's a vicious cycle every 3 to 5 years that they do up here. Now in the States, a little bit different. You get a 20, 25 or 30 year amortization, just say, or a mortgage for just say, 8%. That 8% sticks with you for the whole duration of that period. Whether it's
or 1.5,
which, a lot of people did get into 1.5, yeah,
or 2%.
And they're locked in. Yeah,
for
they're
30
locked
years.
in at that price.
Yeah, for 30 years. I came across. I started. This series is a result of what I've already seen before, but in my marketing processes, I have there's a $7.5 million super jumbo loan at 1.5% interest that I'm looking at. So it's getting a $7.5 million 1.5% loan these days would be impossible. It's easier to find a unicorn that's ridden by an elf while juggling
another unicorn
chimpanzees. Yeah. So it's impossible. So And if that person, which they do, needs to get out of that property, that payment's significant, but not. It's actually quite affordable for the right people if I were to take over that debt, and then even if I were to take over that debt and then do a new amortization schedule of 5%, which is still aggressive for that kind of money, there's a spread there to be made. And I'm for those that have no idea what I just said, that's okay. We'll get there eventually. We'll get you there. But I'm sorry to have derailed this train here, but yeah, I don't know where we were.
We're just talking about there's different systems in different countries, and the U.S. is, if you do lock in a 30-year or 25, that's you don't have to revisit that branch and renew unless you're refinancing for whatever reason and starting the cycle over again. In Canada, you don't have that luxury. They just, again, it's designed to put more money into the bankers' coffers, right?
Right. Well, even I see this with cars where you're almost paying off your car, and then they have an interest rate, and then they get hey, why don't you refinance your car at a lower interest rate, and they're in year 3, but in year 3 or 4 or 5, you're actually paying off you're now paying off your car. Right, the amortization schedule is truncated on a car, but it's very similar, where you're paying mostly interest at first, and then it's all principal. So refinancing your car is actually a trap after year 2. Because now you've just only paid interest, and suddenly now you're paying only interest again by refinancing. Okay, your payment's lower, but you would have paid off your car a lot sooner had you not done that. So it's just basic math, and there's a lot of consumer traps, and if you're not aware of that, it's important. So what are we missing here, Gabe? Or Frank? Since you're mostly listening right now, because we're doing all the talking.
No, I think we've covered everything. But if we want to kind of summarize, so mortgages, there's 3 trimesters. Let's call it a 30-year. The first 10 years, you're going to pay off mostly interest so your payment will stay the same. Let's assume your payment stays the same throughout the 30 years because you're in the U.S. and your mortgage is going to be all same. So it's going to be exactly the same payment. So say it's let's call it.
We're not, sorry to interrupt. We're not talking taxes and insurance now. This is just mortgage.
The mortgage
this
payment.
is not PITI. This is
principal
not
and interest.
And interest only.
Yeah. So let's say your mortgage payment is $3,000 a month for 30 years. In the first 10 years, you'll have let's say $2,000 going to interest and $1,000 to capital. In the second trimester, you're going to be half, $1,500, and then the last part, you'll have $1,000 going to interest and $2,000 going to principal. So you're paying off most of your capital in your last trimester. So just to give you, and obviously these numbers are kind of just for you guys to understand, it's actually closer to almost closer to zero interest in the last trimester.
It's
and
more
closer to 99% interest in the first trimester. But just to give you an idea in terms of the sharing of the numbers, you're always better off near the end of your mortgage, which most people don't ever get to because they sell their house a lot earlier. In most cases, actually, they don't even get to the second trimester.
And if you understand how to take over debt, and the whole reason we're having this conversation, in case you've checked out and about to, once you understand how to take over debt, that's just there. Helen bought a hotel, and it was paid off in 18 months. There's only 18 months left on the mortgage. So every payment that was made on that property went straight to principal. So imagine buying something and it's paid off in a very short period of time. So if you understand that, it's very exciting. So there are a few things that we're going to line up here. So which trimester is the seller in, and why does it matter? So if it's in the first trimester, you're paying mostly interest. If it's in the second trimester, now you're chewing down the equity portion of the property. And if you're in the last trimester, obviously you're paying off the asset very, very quickly, which it can be good, it can be bad, but we'll get into that in a podcast. And also what the interest rate is, meaning the amount of the payment. So I would be okay with even an 18% interest rate, no problem in the last trimester, because it's paid off very quickly. So it's not necessarily the interest rate that matters. It's where it is on that scale combined with the interest rate that's really going to make a difference in order to set up what we're going to be doing in the next episode. I don't think you should miss that. I think is there something else that we need to cover before we get to the goodies?
I don't think so.
Nope. I think the next step, maybe there'll be a history lesson coming up, but
yeah, another history lesson. Okay,
maybe
I'm excited for that. Maybe. I'm excited to hear the next.
We don't know what the next episode is going to be about, but stay tuned.
Yes.
It'll be historic.
Yes, that's future history. So I'm looking forward to that. It'll be historic. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you and the listener. Like us, love us, share us, and give us the best review you can, which is 5 stars. You will give a 5-star review because you love us very much. Look into my eyes. Yeah, so appreciate you. Frank, Gabe, listener, you rock, and we'll see you on the next episode for the history lesson. Ta-ta for now.
If you like this episode of Big Fat Real Estate Checks, then show some love by leaving a comment and a good rating. Also, as a thank you for tuning in today, we've got a special free gift. The journey to passive cash flow for life starts by finding deals, and it's easier than you think. Simply go to getdealsbytuesday.com, enter your email address, and we'll send you a free quick start course called Deals by Tuesday. Even if it's 11 p.m. Monday night, this course will show you how to find discounted real estate deals by Tuesday. It's that fast and simple. Go to getdealsbytuesday.com and start your journey toward life-changing cash flow today. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next episode.